Good morning. Steve and I want to welcome you to our 3-day webinar called Dream Big and Live Bigger. Over these 3 days, we want to give you a blueprint that will help you develop and sustain change in your life. At Vision for Change, we help people predict their futures by creating and designing a life that they would really love. And that's what we hope for you over these 3 days. And it doesn't matter if it's in your personal life, if it's in your business life, if you're a leader, a corporate executive, or if you just manage your department, or if you're an entrepreneur just starting out and building that business for yourself. You see, to make a change and develop a future, it's the same for everybody. And the next question is how? People are like, how do you do that? It's all about mindset. Mindset is the key. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but success is really 95% mindset and 5% strategy. Most of us have that backwards. I used to work in the corporate world, and we spent weeks and months developing strategic plans, 3-year plans, 5-year plans, 1-year plan. And even in our personal lives, how many of us have Excel spreadsheets and notebooks and plans for what we're going to do? And we're going at it backwards, because if we don't have our mindset right, we're never going to bring true change into our lives or change in plans that can sustain. We're going to fall backwards because belief has to be that first step. We can make short-term changes, but after our willpower gives out, we revert back to the way it's always been. It's because we didn't change what we were supposed to change first, our beliefs, our inside thoughts. And so that's why it is so important to learn this information. So I hope that sounds interesting to you. Steve has got a great day of information planned for us today. And if any of this sounds like it's new to you or new age thinking, or some people say woo-woo thinking, I want to give you 3 quotes that have come from people in our past. Believe, and your belief will actually create the fact. That was from William James. We become what we think about all day long was written by Ralph Waldo Emerson back in the 1800s. And I'm going to go all the way back to a biblical reference. Let it be done for you as you have believed. And that is from Matthew 8:13. The truth has been out there for ages. We just have to accept it. Our thoughts control our lives, control where we go. And if you keep looking back into the past to say it hasn't worked before, maybe your beliefs weren't right. Maybe, just maybe, you can change your future. I know you can, if you start thinking differently. Believe what you want to have be brought into your life, and wait and see as it comes into fruition. You see, all you have is today. Today is day 1. It's the present time. It's the only time we have to make a difference. Forget the past. It's history. The future at this point is a mystery. So let's take the gift of today. After all, it's called the present, and let's make it worthwhile for our future selves. And with that, I don't want to take any more time, because Steve's got a great set of slides for us today and a great presentation. And so I want to bring him on. And here he is. So I'm going to throw it over to him. There you go, Steve.
Thank you, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We appreciate it. We're honored to be able to present this information to you. I've been studying personal growth and development since 1988. So almost 40 years. And the impact it's had on my life, the changes that I've made, the lessons I've learned, they're immeasurable. And the only thing I wish is I'd learned it at an earlier age. But for those of you that are hearing this for the first time, I hope that it resonates with you. I hope there's something of substance that comes out of this, because I know if you adhere to it and you follow the steps that we're going to lay out over the next few days, it's just a very small snippet of what you can do. But the future is immense. So, what I'm going to do is share my screen, and let me get a high sign that it is seen. Do you see it,
You're
Cindy?
good.
We're good? Okay. And let me get this going here. So the aim over the next few days is just to ignite your passion. What I want to see happen is that you begin to embrace and craft a life that resonates with you, that your deepest desires can be met. And I encourage you to release the grip of the past. So many people are stuck in the past. I've had friends that seems that every time we talk, they want to go back to something that happened 5, 10, 20, 25 years ago, and it still resonates with them today. I want you to let that go. I want you to also understand a very important concept. We think in pictures. Think about that. We think in pictures. If I walked up to you and said, describe for me your front door, what color is it? Does it open from the left or the right? Does it have windows? If so, how many? Does it open inward or outward? The only way you can answer the question is you have to mentally stand in front of your door and picture an image of it. Probably after this training, many of you are going to go to your front door and look at it because you never give it much thought. Does it open left or right, in or out? How many windows? 0, 5? How are they configured? What color is it? You see, we think in pictures. So if we give life to the past, we bring those images up and we give those images new life. We give them oxygen to continue to permeate in our lives. And if, especially if it's a dream from the past that you don't want to remember, then quit giving it life. Let the universe take it, let it fade away into the distance. But my goal for everyone today is to undergo the beginning of a transformative process in which you begin to move towards your goals. So I'm going to challenge you today. And over the next couple of days, I want you to think differently. When I bring up some of these concepts, I want you to think about it. Think about it differently. Open up your mind. I want you to open up your imagination to the unique key that you have that can open up the possibilities that are waiting within you. They're just waiting to come out. You see, all it takes is one goal, one idea to transform your life. I'm going to talk a little bit later about goal setting, but right now, for the next few slides, I want to focus about the belief in goal attainment. I want you to come away from today with an absolute belief that this is possible, that this can happen. You see, a single idea, when honed and concentrated upon, can change your entire existence. I'm speaking from personal experience. I had one idea years ago that altered the trajectory of my life and conversely, my family's lives. If I can undergo such a transformation, anyone can. I'm going to talk more about that later, but there is one point that I'm going to reiterate over and over and over again, and that is there is infinite possibility inside of you. I want you to hear that again. There is infinite possibility inside of you. I want you to rest assured. If you don't believe it today, embrace it and believe in my belief for you that it is true and that every one of us has the ability to open our minds and have unlimited possibilities, perhaps where they weren't there before. It takes me back to a quote of about 100 years ago. Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, once said that whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So I want you to take that quote into concept. I want you to expand your perspective. I want you to embrace over these next couple of days the boundless opportunities that lie within you. I want you to stretch beyond your previous limits. Whatever you've done in the past that has held you back, that has caused you to fall short, that has disrupted your dreams and your goals, put it away. I want you to put that in your past and have faith that you have the ability to achieve. I want you to trust in yourself, trust in your capabilities, because without a doubt, we all possess the ability to create and build a life that we love. It's a good time to reflect back. So we're into the fourth month of the new year. We're into April. 3 full months have passed. Hard to believe, but it's true. And many people set resolutions on January 1st or just prior. This was going to be the year. 2024 was the year that I was going to make change. It was the year that, boy, I tell you, I'm glad 2023 has ended because 24 is going to be a great year. But guess what happens? We fall back on our old habits. We fall back on our old laurels. We begin hindering our process, and pretty soon our goals, our dreams we set for us have fallen by the wayside. Sound familiar? Well, here's the hope. And I didn't know this existed until this year. This was a revelation for me. So apparently, the second Friday of every new year is called Resolution Quit Day, or in some cases, Quitter's Day. They say that by the second Friday of every new year, over 85% of people worldwide that have set resolutions and goals for the year have already given up. Think about that. 85% of a 8 or 9 billion population, 85% of those that set goals by the second Friday have given up. This year it was January 12th. We weren't even 2 full weeks into the new year, and most people had given up. So if you're one of those people, feel good. Feel good that, hey, I'm not all that abnormal. But here's the thing, those goals linger. If you're one of those people, I'm sure the goal, the dream, the passion you had for something is still floating in the back of your mind waiting to be realized. Well, here's the thing. We're going to start today and take immediate action. We're going to forget what we haven't done. We're not going to allow that to permeate our thoughts. There is no exclusive power that January 1st holds over us. We don't have to wait till January 1 to set new resolutions and new goals. Today can be our January 1. April 9th can be the beginning. So let's take that and begin, and let's make today our new masterpiece. I want you to etch this on your mind. Today is my new masterpiece. I want you to do that every day. Mahatma Gandhi once said, our future depends on what we do in the present. Our future depends on what we do in the present. Forget the past. Let's move forward. Let's think if you're an inventor. And, you might be listening to this going, yeah, but Steve, I've started and stopped so many times. I've had goals and I'm a great starter, but I'm a terrible finisher. Well, here's the reason why. You never had the direction before. You never had somebody lay out the pathway and change the mindset that's going to bring those goals forward. If you were an inventor and you tried 999 times to build a widget and it didn't work, but on the 1,000th time it worked, you're in. You're a hero. You're an inventor. Everybody knows what you've built. They don't care that it didn't work 999 times. The lights that are on in this room, the lights that are on where you're at right now, Thomas Edison came up with the incandescent light bulb. He had 10,000 attempts at it that didn't work. Someone once asked him about his 10,000 failures. Edison's reply, I didn't fail. I had 10,000 points of feedback that told me what didn't work. And on roughly the 10,001st time, he built the incandescent light bulb. We flip switches in our houses and buildings all the time. Don't give it a second thought. We expect the lights to come on. That wasn't the case back in his day. He built it. So whether you failed in the past once, 10 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times, it doesn't matter. Today is your new masterpiece. We're going to start writing a new story from today forward. You see, if you fell short of your expectations, you need to seize control. And what we have to start by changing is our thoughts. And I want you to see a correlation. Your thoughts create feelings. Your feelings create actions. Your actions create your results. So it all goes back and begins with your thoughts. If we can shift your thoughts that cultivate the belief you can do it and that you can achieve the desires in your life, you're moving forward. You wield the authority over your life. No one else does. You wield the authority to cultivate the life you want to live. No one else does. No one else bears the responsibility for you or for your life but yourself. This truth is undeniable. And if you believe in that and you believe you can take control, you will not be subjected to the whims of circumstance. George Bernard Shaw had a quote here that I always thought was fantastic. And the quote says, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get out in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, make them. He's challenging the notion of not being a victim of circumstance. He's challenging people to say, I advocate proactive action. How many of you people go to work and have managers that talked about being proactive and not reactive? Sound familiar? It's what he's saying here. There's a self-reliance we have to have on ourselves. There's an initiative we have to take for our goals. If we're going to pursue them, it starts with us. It starts with our thoughts. But this quote is a call to action. It's saying to people, take charge of your life. How many times have you had friends, family members, people that you know that are always the victims of something? Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me because of work, because of my boss, because of. They're always a victim of circumstance. That's not the case. Your results tell the story. Let's take a close look at your results. Let's just spend a moment on it. Results paint the reality. As a frontline president of an organization, as a manager, sales manager for 30 years, results are what mattered. It didn't matter what happened, the economy, it didn't matter what was going on in the world. What did matter was results. When I was president, I was responsible for every line on the financial ledger, which was thousands of different entries of both revenue and expenses, responsible for productivity, for sales numbers, for moving boxes, technical proficiency, all of the metrics I was responsible for. No one above me wanted to hear reasons why if we didn't hit a metric. They did want to know what we were going to do to correct it. And I always had that answer. But people don't care about why. But think of all the people that tell you all the reasons why they're unable to attain a goal. If you're off your goal, we got to look at your level of thinking. If you've got a goal and you're not attaining it, are your thoughts in alignment? I want you to understand that what you think, you control. You control what you think. What you think determines the success of what you can attain. Your results always tell you where your dominant thinking is at. The good news is we can change it. We can start doing that today. So acknowledge the results, whatever they are, good, bad, or otherwise. Let's move on. There's a simple concept. I like breaking things down to the simple. And the concept I want to talk about is incremental improvement. And it's being 1% better every day. Think about that, just 1%. You want to make a massive quantum leap forward. You want to do things in your life that you've got such goals and ideas. Well, you can't chew it off all at the same time. You got to take steps. So think about today being 1% better than you were yesterday at whatever you're doing. And tomorrow, 1% better than today. And the next day, 1% better than the last day. It's about embracing the idea that the small, consistent steps forward can accumulate into significant progress over time. Let's say you want to save money to become rich. Well, you don't save for a few days and become an instant millionaire. You want to go to the gym and transform your body and get stronger and work out. You don't go for a week and all of a sudden your fitness levels changed. You don't decide I'm going to go on a diet and I want to lose X number of pounds, and in 3 or 4 days you've lost X number of pounds or greater. It's the consistent course, month after month, year after year, of the cumulative effects of the 1% per day of getting better. That's going to dramatically change everything. I always laugh when I hear people when we talk about doing a project and someone would say, I'm 110% all in. And someone wanted to up that. I'm 120% all in. You know what? The most you can be is 100% all in. So be all in. So with your goal, be all in. But while you're being all in, think about every day being 1% better than the day before. The progress you're going to make is immeasurable. And like I said earlier, I understand You're going to say, but Steve, I've tried, I failed, I haven't measured up, I've never accomplished a goal, I'm a great starter, I'm a bad finisher. You're not alone. Okay. Others have doubts. Why do you think 85% of people hit resolution quit day and have given up? They all have the same thoughts and doubts, the same lack of focus. But again, they didn't, and you didn't have the roadmap that's going to take you to your goal. This is the beginning of setting up that roadmap and moving forward. The great French military commander Napoleon once had a quote that said, I see only my objective. All obstacles must give way. And I love that quote because I had that posted on my office wall. I only see my objective. All obstacles must give way. When I was a frontline manager, I always told my team, my job is to block and tackle. My job is to knock the barriers out of the way that get your way of doing the job. You just got to point them out to me. And I believe that's why I always had top performing teams. One is I imparted this philosophy of growth into my management style, but we also had a singular vision of our objective was our goal, and all obstacles must give way. If you're going to move towards a goal, you can't start and stop, pick back up. You can't set a goal today and say, well, I'll start this on Monday, or set a goal and say, I'll start this at the beginning of the month, the beginning of the new year. You start immediately. Take action immediately. Consistency is the key. Trusting in the process means you need to commit to it wholly and move forward. There's an undeniable truth that I want you to embrace today, and that is there is greatness within you. Whatever your goal may be, whatever idea you may have on your road, it is just waiting to be unleashed. The greatness can't be bestowed upon you. Somebody doesn't walk up and tap you with a wand and you become great. Your greatness is brought forth by you claiming it. I want you to go out and claim it. I want you to be the architect of your life, not a victim. Those who take responsibility for their actions and the decisions they make are those that have the potential to rise to greatness. If you're waiting for somebody else to do it for you, you're waiting for somebody else to get the ball started, you've already lost. You're in control. It is your life. I've said this many times in past trainings. All of us are living in a movie. Our life is a movie. So many people see themselves as extras in their own movie. They're waiting for somebody else to take the lead. They're waiting for somebody else to step up. And when it happens, they sit back and think, man, I wish I would have stepped up. I wish I would have had the courage to have done that. I can do that, but they're getting all the glory now. You need to be the star of your movie, not an extra. Your influence in what you can do is it's so immense, but you got to get out of your comfort zone. See, so many people pull back and they think, this is safe. I'm going to stay here. No growth ever occurs if you don't get out of your comfort zone. You've got to do things every day. I do something every day that makes me uncomfortable. It can be anything from shooting a movie or a video to working on content, but whatever I do every day, I do something that's uncomfortable because I know two things. One, I'm accomplishing something great and I'm growing myself because I want to reach my full potential. So let's talk about goals. Let's talk about what your goal is. My first question is, does your inner talk match your goal? Are you one of those people that talks to yourself a lot? Do you realize that there is nobody in your life, nobody, that you'll talk to more than yourself? Not even close. There's not even a close second. You talk to yourself more than anybody in life. But the question is, what is that self-talk? Are you putting yourself down? Are you telling your things like, I can't, I won't, I'm not able, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough? What was I thinking? Are those the thoughts coming out of your mind? Or are you affirming yourself with, I can do this, I will do this, I am capable, I am able? There's a huge difference. Because if your inner talk doesn't match your goal, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there. It has to match for you to realize your goal. You have to control that inner talk to match with your desires. When you do that, your imagination and the intent of your goal becomes clearer and clearer. And that inner talk will begin to carry you forward instead of pulling you back. You see, there's two things that our Creator bestowed on us that no other creature on the planet has. We have a mind to think and imagine and create, and we have speech where we actually can talk. With the gift of mind and speech, you can create the conditions and circumstances of your life and not be subjected to things as before, to the whim of circumstance. You create your future. Start by your inner conversations. Be kind to yourself. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. But I want you to understand that breakthroughs emerge when you begin to stop talking negative to yourself and start talking positive. You're going to form a deeper level of self-love and appreciation and self-acceptance that's going to move you forward. I'm a huge buff of Mount Everest. The picture you're seeing right now is the prayer flags at base camp and Mount Everest with the plume of snow off the top in the background. Generally, it's the winds that are about the top of the jet stream. I shouldn't say every, I've read most books and watched most documentaries about Everest. In fact, there's a trip you can take to Everest Base Camp, which is a goal of mine to do someday and someday soon. But what I want you to understand is climbing Mount Everest, that's your goal. That's your journey. And if you look at the prayer flags here at base camp happens in April and May. It's happening right now when all the climbing teams from around the world assemble and they begin to move up and down the mountain at various altitudes to acclimatize before they make the assault on the summit, waiting for the perfect weather, which can never be counted on for more than a couple of hours. But at base camp, there are hundreds, maybe even 1,000 climbers worldwide that have assembled. But if you look at that picture and you look at the summit, guess what? You're still 43 miles away from the top of that mountain. 43 miles of some of the harshest weather conditions and terrain that man has to conquer on this planet. And I think about that like our goals. Our goals have harsh terrain. We have some harsh climates we got to go through, but it's the persistence of the pursuit. And it's the glory of getting to the top and looking back at what you've accomplished. That's the journey. That's what it's all about. This vision is your guiding light. In 1951, no one had ever climbed Mount Everest and come back alive. Many had tried and many had perished. In 1951, a New Zealander, Sir Edmund Hillary, along with his Sherpa from Nepal, his guide Tenzing Norgay, made the first attempt. They were going to climb Mount Everest and come back and have proof and evidence that they had done it. And they got there with a plan in 1951. They climbed the mountain and it turned them back. And they went back in 1952 with a better plan, better equipment, and they tried again. And Mount Everest turned them back. They were told it can't be done. You're wasting your time. No one's ever made it that's tried. Just give up the dream. Tenzing Norgay and Mr. Hillary said no. They went back in 1953. And this time they summited Mount Everest and came back alive. And they are the first documented people known to have climbed Everest and returned alive. That pursuit, that goal, that vision, that persistence to attain that dream never left them. They could have easily quit after 51. They could have easily quit after 52, and no one would have thought twice or less of them. But they persisted and they climbed that mountain in 1953. This is how I want you to pursue your goals, with that type of passion and goal. There was a book written, and I advocate everybody to pick it up. It's a very easy read, but it's one of the most insightful books you'll ever read. And it's written by Wallace Wattles about 110 years ago. And it's called The Science of Getting Rich. Now, I want you to understand, it's not just about wealth. It's about getting rich life, a fulfilled life. But in the book, he has a quote that I think is powerful, and it is, the purpose of life for man is growth. Just as the purpose of life for trees and plants is growth. Trees and plants grow automatically and along fixed lines. Man can grow as he will. Trees and plants can only develop certain possibilities and characteristics. Man can develop any power which is or has been shown by any person anywhere. We can create and do anything. It's the gift that we were given of imagination and creation. A plant is a plant. Most animals and their instincts do very linear things. Man can go anywhere and do anything. So let's talk about goals. And the first question is, why do we have goals? What's the purpose of goals? If I were to ask people why we have goals, most would say is to get more, to have more, perhaps to be more. That's not the purpose of goals. Goals are to grow us. The purpose of goals are to help us grow. Why do corporate companies, as Susan alluded to in the beginning, set goals and objectives at the beginning of the year? To grow, to measure themselves against growth. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. If people aren't growing, you're just existing. We want to grow. So that's why we have goals. If I were to walk down any street in the world, any busy street as you see on the screen, and randomly walk up to people and ask somebody, what is your goal? Most would look at me and go, well, what do you mean? If by chance I got somebody that said, well, here's my goal, and they could tell me, I would ask them, do you have it written down? Do you carry it with you? Do you have your goal posted somewhere that's visible that you see every day that reminds you of your goal? And most would say to me, well, what do you mean? You see, having a goal is one thing, but if we're not passionate about it, almost to an obsession, we're not fixated on that goal, it's just a mere thought. It's just a passing fancy. A goal has to be something that you think about all the time. Goals have to have intent and purpose, otherwise, they're just mere thoughts. So, your goal is important to you, and success towards your goal is steady progress. So, if you're working towards your goal, you're going to have ups and downs, but it's the continued focus towards it. Do you think climbing Everest, they didn't have some ups and downs and some challenges along the way? There's a famous section of Mount Everest called the Hillary Step, named after Edmund Hillary. It's near the very top of the mountain. There's only several hundred feet to go once they get there. But it's a rocky outcrop that once they got to it appeared unclimbable. And they focused on it and they worked on it and they finally found a way to get around it, which is now the way that most climbers go to get through the Hillary Step. But it's a point where they almost thought it's impassable. We got to turn around. But they persisted and found a way. Success isn't defined by just reaching the end point. It's about the journey. It encompasses the entire journey, what you're doing along the way. So take those steps, take the setbacks, but keep pushing forward. If I were to walk up to somebody and say, I'm going to take a vacation and travel, where are you going? I'm going to go west. I could get out of my house and I can start heading west. And wherever I get that night, I can get up in the morning and I can head west. And the next morning and the next morning. But no matter where I get, I can always continue to go west. So traveling without a plan, going there without an idea, not knowing your destination or how to get there, you're just aimlessly wandering. You have to have a plan. You have to have actionable items in a process that's moving you in the direction of your goal. Having direction in life is essential. We need to have direction. We need to have people that perhaps mentor us and help us show us the way. I've had many over the years, many that I look back on. And I know from my personal experience, if I don't have goals that I'm striving for, I'm stagnant. Life is stagnant. If you don't, years can pass by with no meaningful purpose or fulfillment. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. It reminds me of the movie Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray wakes up every day to the same clock, the same time, the same set of circumstances. Nothing changes. You just live life by default. We need purpose, we need direction. And I want to indulge you in my personal story I had mentioned earlier. Building your dream begins with you. And I'm going to take you back 40 years ago. And I'm going to tell you right now, in June 23rd, Susan and I will have been married for 40 years, together for 44 or more or so years. But what I remember is there was a day when I was ironing some clothes and talking to my mother, and we were engaged to be married. We were 20-year-old kids. And my mom said, you need to go find an apartment, you and Susan, so that your wedding's coming up. You got somewhere to live. And I remember it was like a punch in the stomach. And my first impulse was, I do not want to live in an apartment. I never have. I never want to. I've got friends that live in apartments, and it just doesn't resonate with me. It's like being in a perpetual hotel. And I remember saying to my mother, I'm not living in an apartment. I'm going to buy a house. And she said, "You can't afford a house." Now, she didn't mean I couldn't go out and buy a house. She meant you're 20. The interest rates back then were 15% for home mortgages. The chances of getting a house at the income I had or and Susan had combined, slim and none. But it lit a fire in me. It lit a passion in me. It set a goal in mind that, damn it, I'm going to find some way, somehow, we're going to get a house. So the next day after work, Susan and I went for a drive. We lived in the northwest suburbs of Minneapolis. So from our suburb, you went into the cornfields and the farmland. And we went out to a few small towns further out. And Susan's like, "Where are we going?" And I said, "I just want to see if there's any of these towns building any new developments and just see what it might take to try to get a house." And we came into a small town of about 1,000 people. And sure enough, at the end of the town was a T, just a road that went down and a T that went across, and the streets and utilities were in, but there were no homes. There was room for about 20. One was built, one was having the basement dug, and one was being framed. It was getting dark. It was the middle of winter, and we drove up to the one house being framed because there was a gentleman there loading his truck. And I walked up and said, "I'd like to find out who I need to talk to about seeing if we can build a house." And he looked at me, and I know his first impulse was, "What are you in high school?" And he says, "Well, I'm the builder. I'm Ken, but you need to talk to the realtor, Ron. But let me finish loading my truck, follow me back to my office, and we'll get Ron to come meet us." So we did. Ron came in. He had the equal look as he looked at Susan and I like, "Well, these kids old enough to buy a house?" And they laid out 6 floor plans in front of us. And these were basic homes. We're talking 2 bedrooms, a bath, kitchen, and living room, unfinished basements, no garages. And the only amenity they gave us was a stove. And there were 6 plans that went from about $52,000 up to 79.9. And the basic floor plan and the biggest one, the 79.9, was your 4 level split level home, which is what we wanted. I said, "Well, I want the 4 level split." And Ken's like, "We don't build many of those because it's the most expensive." Now, take into context the price, 79,900. Today, you can add about 400 to that. The base model, or even 500, would be around $400,000 or $500,000. But back in 1984, that's what the price was. And so we had to spend a few weeks gathering our W-2s and our income and everything we had and sending it off to Ron. And we had a subsequent meeting, and we met and sat down, and Ron laid out, he says, "Well, based on everything, interest rates and whatnot, we can approve you, but only for $54,000. So the only house we can build is the base model ranch home." And again, I had that punch in the gut feeling. I was not going to settle for that. And I said, "We want the 4 level split." And Ron's like, "We can't do it. You don't qualify for that much money." Now, this is where the intense desire takes over. All of a sudden, my mind is spinning fast. And I'm sitting there thinking, and all of a sudden I looked up and I said, "Well, let me ask a question. What if we do all the roofing?" And Ken, the builder, says, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "We'll put the decking on, the tar paper, the shingles, we'll do the entire roof. By doing that, how much will you take off the price?" And he said, "Well, are you able to do that? You got to pass inspection. And do you have the wherewithal to do that?" I said, "Yeah, we got contractors in our family and we got construction workers. We can do it." So he penciled it out, came up with a number, looked over at Ron and said, "We're still not there." And I said, "Okay." Um, Again, wheels are turning. I said, "What if we were to do all the siding, put all the siding on the house? How much would you save? Would we save?" He came down again in price, but we're still not there. Susan then says, "Well, what if we did all the painting and staining inside the house? Took care of all that." He penciled it out. We were pretty close. A few more concessions were made, and one of the caveats was they give you a yard of sod. And I said, "Well, just grade out the property. Don't worry about the sod. We'll buy sod and put that down at a later date. How much would that save us? Ken penciled it out and he looked over at Ron and he tapped his pencil down and he said, we're down to about 54,000. I said, there you go. We qualify. We're building that 4-level split. And for the next many months, once ground was broken, we got off work and worked a 40-hour week and made a beeline straight up to the house and started hammering nails. Some days it was just Susan and I. Some days we had a couple friends show up. On the weekend, we might have 7, 8, 9 people, but we built that house. And we got married on June 23rd. And on July 23rd, we closed on it and gave them the last of the down payment. Got the keys, went back to the house, whitewashed walls except for a couple bedrooms, one stove, no fridge, nothing, no furniture. They just finished passing the inspection that morning. So there's no furnishings, there's nothing on the walls. We just sat on the floor and leaned up against a wall. And I started chuckling, and Susan's like, what are you laughing at? And I said, well, we're married. And we own a home. And we just gave them every penny we had to pay for it. And I reached in my pocket, and I'll never forget, I had a dime and a penny. And I said, we have 11 cents in our name until we get paid next. I guess we're going to your mother and father's for dinner because we can't even go to McDonald's. And that's how we began. But we made that dream a reality. We didn't sit back and go, victim of circumstance, can't afford it. We found a way. And that taught me that as I set goals in my life, I can attain anything. I have moved around this country in career path and moving up in jobs, taking on some jobs that I remember thinking, I don't know how I need to learn this fast because I've never done this before. But I took on expanding roles and broader roles, and I always found that I could do anything. And I always believed that I could figure it out. And it carries with me on every goal I have. I know I can attain every goal. And as I hit a goal, I set another goal. And I keep building. With perseverance and focus and committing to your aspirations, you can do anything. And if you're sitting there saying, yeah, but I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough time or money, stop. First of all, money will find its way to you if it's necessary. You're never too old, you're never too young, you're never uneducated enough. That means nothing. Whatever your goal is your dream. And believe that you can make it happen. Henry Thoreau, who lived back in the 1840s, once stated in a writing, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live a life which he has imagined, he will meet with success unexpected in common hours. We have limitless potential. I told you earlier, there's infinity inside of you waiting to come out. You possess the ability to create whatever you desire in your life. You just need to believe it. You need to think it. Susan said, what Ralph Waldo Emerson said, we are a product of what we think about every day. If you're thinking about your goal and dream every day, you're going to move yourself in the direction of it. Shift the mindset from one of limitation and lack to one of abundance and possibilities. And you're going to untap something inside of you that's unlike anything before. So let's talk about goals. Okay, so we set goals. What someone says, well, what's a good goal? I'm going to lay these out in A, B, and C. I want to make it very easy. But an A-type goal is a goal that it's your present results. It's what's happening today. It's what you already know how to do. Okay. And Bob Proctor, who was a mentor to Susan and I, and the foremost leader in human growth and potential, Bob tells a story back when he was doing a seminar in person. And a gentleman walked up to him, a young man, and said, Bob, I was hoping you could help me with my goal. Bob said, sure, I'd love to help you with your goal. What's your goal? And he says, well, I'd like to buy a Lexus. Bob says, well, Lexus is a nice car. I've owned a Lexus. What are you driving today? And the young man said, a Lexus. And Bob says, really? How long have you had that Lexus? He said, I've had it for 4 years. And Bob says, okay. How old is a Lexus? He says, it's 4 years old. And Bob said, so what you're telling me is you bought a Lexus new 4 years ago, and now you want to buy another new Lexus. And he said, that's right. Bob says, that's not a goal. That's not a good goal. You already know how to do that. You can go out and do that today. It's not a goal that's stretching you. There's no growth involved in it. So a present result in things you know how to do, those are A-type goals. Those are not the goals we're talking about going for. Then you have your B-type goals. Your B-type goals are goals where you put conditions around it. For example, I think I can do this goal if this happens, or they do this, or she does that, or this company goes this way, or this circumstance has to happen for me first. And if it does, then I think I can hit my goal. Not a good goal. Why? There's no inspiration. There's absolutely nothing that forces you to go after that goal. As a matter of fact, if I were to ask you what happened to that goal, your answer would be, well, this person or that person or this circumstance never happened. Therefore, I couldn't do my goal. You gave yourself an out. Not a good goal. The goal we're talking about is a C-type goal. What do you want? And when I say what do you want, I'm talking about, I want you to fantasize. I want you to broaden your horizons, open up that imagination, open up the creative process to be amazing. What would you want? And I've sat down with people and asked them, what is it you would want? I've heard everything from, I want financial freedom. I want a house on the beach. I want a house in the mountains with a chalet that I can go to as a getaway. I want to be able to travel at whim. I want to be able to quit my job and do whatever I want, wherever I want, however I want. Whatever your goal is, that's your goal. But that's a C-type goal. A C-type goal is a goal that you set. And the first reality is, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but this is my goal. I want this. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to start doing the things 1% better every day. And as you do that, you progress towards your goal and things start to come into your purview. Things begin to happen. The universe conspires to help move things in your direction for you to move in the direction of your goal. That is your wants. Again, let your imagination wander and fantasize. But I want to be careful. I want you to be careful in one thing. I would not confide my dreams in a lot of people. Your family members, for example, your parents may have the greatest intent, but when you share your dreams with them, they're like, well, that's not a good idea. That's not you. You're not that kind of person. Don't let somebody steal your dreams. Don't let somebody steal your momentum. It's your dream. It's not theirs. You may have some coworker or a friend. Actually, when you tell them your dream, your goal, they might feel threatened. Like, oh, wait a minute. If you attain that, you're going to move past me. You're going to get ahead of me at work or in life. I don't want that. So they'll, by design, say to you, maybe not a good goal for you. That's not something I think you should spend time on, because they're wanting to hold you back into their comfort zone. So be careful who you confide in. Understand that people can give you discouragement and negativity about your goal. Your goal is your goal. Don't let somebody else steal your dreams. And people often want goals to happen like this. They want to set a goal, attain the goal. They just want to make it happen. And you see, we live in a world today that's all about instant gratification. Everybody wants things now. They want things yesterday. Think about just a few years ago. We're watching TV and seeing commercials for FedEx. Remember their byline? When it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. But now people are like, well, that's not fast enough. I want it now. I can sit here right now and decide I need something. I can go onto Amazon, and because of all the distribution sites, I can order something this morning, have it dropped off here this afternoon. I can go to the local grocery store or Walmart or Target, and I can order groceries and products and whatever I want. I can either go pick it up right now, or I can have it delivered here at my doorstep in a couple hours. I want it right now. Think about when Netflix was big. Oh my God, you could browse a catalog of movies and they will send you a disc overnight, a DVD, and you can watch it tomorrow. That's amazing. I got time right now. I want to watch a movie right now. So I get on my smartphone and I start browsing and I pull up a movie and I'm going to watch it right now. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I got time right now. I'm getting on a flight. I'm going to be flying for the next 3, 6, 8 hours. I want to watch a couple movies. So I'll download them on my iPhone, my iPad, my computer, and I'll sit on the plane and watch movies. I want them right now. I don't want them tomorrow. That's how people want things. And they think that they're going to set a goal and achieve it. But let me give you an insight. Here's reality. This is what it looks like going after your goal. Remember, you're climbing Everest. You're facing weather. You're facing harsh terrain. You're going to rise and fall and start and stop and trip and fail and succeed and practice. And you're going to eventually attain your goal. And you're going to look back and know that that journey was worth every bit of it. With focus and intention, you're going to hit that goal. People struggle because they don't. They get intermittent. They quit. They stop. They let the external influences, the victim of circumstance. Life is unpredictable. Let's all face that. And unexpected circumstances will arise that could derail your progress towards goals. But people who face the obstacles, face the setbacks, face the distractions, and divert themselves to a positive mindset and a persistence are the ones that are going to attain those goals and continue moving forward. Everything is energy. This is a quote from Albert Einstein. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Your goal resides on a physical frequency. And I want to illustrate that here real quickly to give you an idea of the pathway you're going. So every frequency, look at every line as a frequency. Think of it like a radio. You're tuning a radio. At the bottom, you're at channel 88.3, and you're going to tune that dial towards the top to 107.7. That's what you want to see. Every frequency is connected to the one above and below. But here you are. Your current results today are residing on this low frequency. This is where your thoughts are. But you want your thoughts and yourself up here where your goal resides. You need to make an irrevocable, committed decision that I am going for this goal. Again, you've set that C-type goal. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but this is the goal. And I'm going to start today to become better at who I am and what I am. I'm going to begin moving in the direction of the goal. The vibrational frequency that you begin to set of that goal and having that in mind is how you begin to move in the direction of it. So how do we get to the higher frequency? And these are things I'd like you, if you have a pen and paper, to write down. Very simple process, but this is essential in you beginning to move towards your goal. I want you to set the goal, whatever that goal is. Set the goal. I'm just going to make one up here. I want financial freedom. I want to have no debt. Okay. I want to owe no one. Write that out. I want you to write it out, and I want you to put it in your pocket, a piece of paper, fold it up, laminate it, do whatever. Carry it with you. Every time you open your wallet, you see your goal. Post it on your computer, on the dashboard of your car, on the mirror in the bathroom, so you see it every day and remind yourself of it. Taking that a step further, I want you to live from your goal. I want you to begin acting today as if this goal has happened, and start making decisions from your goal. If I have attained this goal, how would I make a decision on this particular situation I'm facing? Start living from your goal. By getting into the practice of living from it, you begin emulating yourself in the role of that goal. I even go further to say I would advocate writing that goal down and setting a timer on your phone for every 3 hours that goes off, and you spend a couple of minutes just thinking about your goal, rehearsing it in your mind, thinking about how you would feel. How do I feel when I attain that goal? The absolute empowerment I feel, the liberation I feel. Start getting into the mindset of the person that's attained that goal. Write it down, visualize it multiple times a day. You see, we have a chance to look at the world from a couple of different lenses, one that's negative and one that's positive. Negative people look at it and go, oh, just do nothing. It's impossible. And they give up very easily. People that are positive say, just do it. Nothing is impossible. They find a way to make it happen. Don't give power to the past. Let the past go. Let the past get smaller and smaller in the rear view mirror of life as you're driving down the road. It takes no more effort to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. It takes no more effort to take misery or positivity. Napoleon Hill wrote the most famous book, Think and Grow Rich. I would again advocate getting that. It's one of the most amazing books that will change the concept of your thinking of how you view life. Focus on prosperity. Don't focus on anything negative. Just put it out of your mind. Let go, move forward, trust and believe that you can attain anything. Understand there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot happening to you. There's wars. We got Israel and Hamas, and we've got Ukraine and Russia, and strife all across this planet. We got economic pressures, good, bad, and otherwise. We got governments and politics and elections. We got all this noise around you. If you're a multitasker, you got to take a look at that noise. You got to take a look at when you're doing something, when you're focused on a goal, when you're doing training. Are you doing training and trying to work on the side? You got to clear that clutter, clear the noise. Understand the war, the economy, government, politics, all of this, it's not in your control. There's nothing you can do about it. Your life, your future is what I want you to focus on, because that's what I want you to create. The only way to predict your future is to create it. That's powerful. Let me say that again. The only way to create your future or to predict your future is to create it. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. So recapping this, I want you to write your goal, write it out and carry it with you, post it in a few places, bury the goal in your mind, think of it when you get up in the morning, set a timer on your phone, your smartphone, for every 3 hours, and take 2 minutes just to reflect on your goal, think about how you feel, live from your goal, become a part of it, become one with your goal. Albert Einstein had a beautiful quote that says, logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. I want you to open up your mind, open up your creativity, open up your imagination, and trust that you can make it. Tomorrow we'll talk further about how decisions and self-image plays into moving forward and attaining your goal. And with this, I'm going to throw it back to Susan for our daily recap.
Thanks, Steve. That was great. And as I always say, we keep this about an hour, and we are just about there. So I will do just a short recap, but I want you to think about this. If you're going to spend another 365 days on this earth, you'll have lived another year. It's either going to go by default or by design. The choice is yours. So you can make today day one and make a choice to get 1% better every day and see where that takes you. In the chat, there was a question about the recordings, and yes, this will be recorded and it will be posted live on the Vision Front Coaching Facebook page. And for those of you that are registered, you will also get a copy of the recording. So I wanted to let you know that. Tonight's homework, just as Steve said, if you don't have a goal, allow yourself to sit down and get quiet and decide what you really want from your life. Once you have that, set a timer on your phone every 3 hours and just bring it to mind, because our thoughts truly do become our things. Some of you have just never allowed yourself time for that dreaming and that imagination. It's a really powerful tool we have, and I encourage you to start using it today. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up and keep us on time, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Same time, same place, 11 o'clock. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.